Ji Lingshuang rested her chin on one hand, her eyes full of provocation. So, Miss Xia, do you dare take the bet? There wasn't a trace of warmth in Jia Yunshu's eyes. Why wouldn't I? Ji Lingshuang nodded in satisfaction and raised her glass. Then it settled. She was certain she would win this bet. Ji Lingshuang took a sip of red wine, but Jia Yunshu still didn't raise her glass. Ji Lingshuang smiled. Won't you try it, Miss Xia? This red wine is a Huai's favorite. Jia Yunshu looked at the wine glass in front of her, picked it up, and gently swirled it twice. The rich, full aroma of red grapes, blended with delicate notes of blackcurrant and black cherry, was instantly released. Jia Yunshu didn't drink it. She only smelled the wine. Ji Lingshuang drained the wine in her glass and smiled wickedly. President Jia, are you afraid I poison it? Jia Yunshu swirled the wine glass and replied calmly. I'm injured. Ji Huai won't let me drink. Ji Lingshuang sized Jia Yunshu up. She couldn't tell where Jia Yunshu was injured, but those words still made her feel a little jealous. I didn't expect him to care so much about his ex-wife. Jia Yunshu glanced at the time and stood up. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving. Since you're already here, why not have some fun? Ji Lingshuang lazily stood up and said, Do me the honor, Miss Xia. Jia Yunshu stared at her with her deep, beautiful eyes, slowly narrowing them into thin slits. Her blood-red lips curved into a faint smile. Fine. At the teddy bear-themed children's restaurant, I entered with Little Hedgehog. We both had East Asian features. One of us was handsome and striking, while the other was soft and adorable. We instantly attracted quite a few people's attention. That father and daughter are both so good-looking. They're even wearing matching outfits. I was dressed very simply today. A white t-shirt with black denim shorts. Coincidentally, Little Hedgehog was also wearing a white t-shirt with black overalls today. We really did look like we were wearing matching parent-child outfits. That child is so pretty. Her mother must be gorgeous too. Listening to the people around us, I felt utterly speechless. How did Little Hedgehog and I look like father and daughter? I was only 23 this year. How can I possibly have a child this old? At that thought, the expression on my face suddenly stiffened. It reminded me of some unpleasant things from 5 years ago. Little Hedgehog in my arms seemed to notice that something was wrong with my mood. She gently touched my cheek. Sorry, Uncle got distracted. I snapped back to reality and quickly pushed those emotions aside. Holding Little Hedgehog, I sat down at a table by the window and smiled as I rubbed her head. After we finish eating, Uncle will take you to find your mom and dad, okay? Little Hedgehog stared at me, her little lips tightly pressed together. She still didn't say a single word. Just then, an enthusiastic waitress approached with the menu. He greeted me fluently in the language of country of hello, sir. What would you and your daughter like to order? Daughter? I looked at Little Hedgehog beside me. Did we really look that much alike? After hearing the waitress call her my daughter, Little Hedgehog broke into a bright smile. Your daughter is so adorable. The waitress was completely charmed by Little Hedgehog's smile and praised her with a smile. I was about to explain, but Little Hedgehog had already taken the menu, opened it, and handed it to me. Little Hedgehog, what do you want to eat? I asked. Little Hedgehog pointed at the children's set meal on the menu. I nodded. 1 teddy bear children's set meal and 1 seafood pasta. Little Hedgehog suddenly hugged my arm and looked up at me expectantly, looking rather pitiful. I gently touched her cheek. Be good. Little Hedgehog, let's eat first, okay? After we finish, we'll go find your mom and dad. Little Hedgehog still didn't say anything. She only hugged me even tighter. The food we ordered was soon served. A 4-year-old child was already capable of eating independently. I watched Little Hedgehog eat chicken nuggets with a fork. For some reason, a thought suddenly came to mind. If Little Hedgehog were my child, how wonderful would that be? But I knew I would never be able to have a child of my own in this lifetime. I lowered my eyes, feeling a little heartbroken for a moment. A small, warm hand suddenly grabbed mine. I came back to my senses and saw Little Hedgehog tilting her head as she looked at me. Her black, pearl-like eyes sparkled brightly. Little Hedgehog, what's wrong? Little Hedgehog put down her fork and gently patted my head. I froze. Was she trying to comfort me? My heart practically melted. Little Hedgehog, Are you an angel? How can you be so sweet? Uncle really likes you so much. Seeing how much I like little hedgehog, Jinzu smiled. Mr. G, let me take a photo of you two. Sure. Meeting each other's fate. It'd be nice to take a photo as a keepsake. Little hedgehog, shall we take a picture together? Little hedgehog nodded repeatedly. Looking extremely excited, I handed my phone to Jinzu. Use my phone. This teddy bear-themed restaurant was very large. Besides the dining area, there was also a dreamy, childlike parent-child play area, which was perfect for playing with children and taking photos. Jinzu took several photos of little hedgehog and me. After we finished eating, I took the little one by the hand to the parent-child play area. We played for a while and took quite a few more photos. There was a huge teddy bear in the play area that could only be won by completing a series of games. Seeing that little hedgehog was interested, I took her over and signed us up. The first few rounds were simple parent-child games. The final round was dart throwing, which was considerably more difficult. Several adults before us had all failed to clear the challenge. I pointed at the teddy bear in the display case and asked little hedgehog, I'll win it for you, okay? Little hedgehog nodded vigorously. Throwing darts was no challenge for me at all. All 10 darts hit the bullseye. Unsurprisingly, I won the teddy bear in the end. Little hedgehog, this is for you. Little hedgehog hugged the teddy bear tightly, sitting on my lap. Suddenly, she wrapped her arms around my neck and planted a kiss on my cheek. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Still, I could tell she was saying thank you. I smiled at her. You're welcome. As long as you like it. After playing with little hedgehog for a while, I checked the time. It was already past 4 in the afternoon. Little hedgehog had been missing for so long. Her parents must have been worried sick. I was about to take her to look for them, but little hedgehog held onto my hand and refused to leave. She pointed at her stomach. Hungry again? Jinzu muttered, didn't she just eat quite a lot? I shot her a cold glare. Children her age are still growing. It's normal for her to get hungry quickly. Before long, the waiter brought over to set meals. I looked at little hedgehog in disbelief. Little hedgehog, that's a lot of food. Can you really finish it all? Little hedgehog looked at the food in front of her, took a deep breath, and nodded. Eat slowly. The longer she could drag this out, the longer she could stay with daddy. Jinzu looked utterly impressed. She can really eat. I glared at her. What do you know? A good appetite is a blessing. I rubbed little hedgehog's head. Little hedgehog, eat as much as you want. Uncle's treating you today. Don't be shy. Little hedgehog nodded and began her long journey of eating. I suddenly remembered something and said to Jinzu, call the hotel front desk and ask whether any guests staying there have reported a missing child. All right, Jinzu stepped outside to make the call. Before long, Jinzu came back with his phone. Mr. G, there really is a couple at the hotel looking for their missing child. I gave them our address. They said they'll come right away. I nodded and looked at little hedgehog. Little hedgehog, your mom and dad will be here soon. Little hedgehog looked up at me, pouting slightly. She looked rather pitiful. What's wrong? For some reason, I felt that the way little hedgehog looked at me was a little sad, as though she were about to be abandoned. Little hedgehog shook her head and lowered it to continue eating. Just then, Jinshu's phone rang. He answered and exchanged a few words, then handed the phone to me. It's Yunshu. She said she called you, but you didn't answer. I gave a puzzled sound and took Jinshu's phone. I heard Jia Yunshu ask, where are you? Why didn't you answer my calls? Jia Yunshu sounded a little anxious. She had returned to the hotel and found me gone. She had called me, but I hadn't answered, so she thought I had left. I quickly replied. My phone was on silent, so I didn't hear it. I'm outside eating right now. Where are you? I'll come pick you up. I glanced at little hedgehog, who was still eating, and said, at the teddy bear-themed children's restaurant. Jia Yunshi was clearly surprised on the other end of the phone. Wait there for me. I'll be there soon. All right. Half an hour later, a Chinese couple walked into the restaurant. The moment they saw little hedgehog, they hurried toward us. They immediately pulled her into their arms. Little hedgehog, where did you go? Daddy and Mommy have been looking for you all afternoon. You worried us to death. How did you disappear the moment we looked away? I stood up and looked at the couple. Are you little hedgehog's parents? The man smiled warmly and gentlemanly. Yes, sir. Thank you for taking care of our little hedgehog. How much did you spend today? I shook my head. There's no need. Little hedgehog nestled in the woman's arms, her head drooping, looking as though she had done something wrong. Judging from little hedgehog's reaction, they really did seem to be her parents. I handed the teddy bear I had won earlier to little hedgehog. Little hedgehog, don't run off by yourself again. There are lots of bad people out there. Little hedgehog obediently nodded. But she didn't look at me. The couple held little hedgehog and thanked me a few more times. Before preparing to leave, I walked out of the restaurant with them and watched. As their car drove away, suddenly my heart felt strangely empty. Inside the car, little hedgehog leaned against the seat and watched the figure outside gradually disappear into the distance. Tears fell from her eyes one after another. After the car had driven for a while, it suddenly stopped. The door opened. The woman who had just claimed to be little hedgehog's mother got out and stood respectfully by the door. Young master, little hedgehog sniffled, climbed out while hugging the teddy bear, and got into another car parked nearby. Yuen was sitting in the front passenger seat. She turned around and looked at little hedgehog in the back seat, who kept rubbing her eyes. You cried? Little hedgehog glared at her, then stubbornly let out a cold snort. Yuen chuckled and looked at the teddy bear in her arms. Who gave you that? Little hedgehog moved her lips. Daddy. Yuen nodded slightly, then saw little hedgehog move her lips again. She asked me, can I see Daddy again? Yuen replied, probably not. This time was just a coincidence. Ji Ling Shuang's second personality agreed to let you go see him. Knowing Ji Ling Shuang, she definitely won't allow little hedgehog to see him again. The expression on little hedgehog's face instantly fell. Yuen couldn't bear to see her like this. She sighed. Little hedgehog, you want him to be safe and well too, don't you? Little hedgehog lowered her head, hugging the teddy bear Daddy had given her tightly. The light faded from her eyes. 20 minutes later, at Yiren Villa, Yuen carried little hedgehog into the house and saw Ji Ling Shuang sitting in the living room, her eyes hazy. Yuen frowned. Aren't you drunk? Why aren't you resting in your room? Ji Ling Shuang rubbed her temples and scoffed. Who said I'm drunk? If anyone's drunk, it's Jia Yunshu. She drank more than I did. Jia Yunshu had barely drunk a few glasses. Ji Ling Shuang beckoned to little hedgehog. Come here. Yuen put little hedgehog down. Go on. As soon as little hedgehog walked up to her, Ji Ling Shuang said, that bear is so ugly. Who gave it to you? Her face was full of disdain. Hearing this, little hedgehog's face immediately darkened. She glared at Ji Ling Shuang. You're ugly. You're the ugliest. Ji Ling Shuang raised an eyebrow and curled her index finger, flicking her forehead. You dare glare at me? Why gave that to little hedgehog? Yuen explained. Ji Ling Shuang immediately understood. She pulled little hedgehog closer. Did you have fun today? Little hedgehog nodded and took Ji Ling Shuang's hand. She moved her lips. Can I see him again next time? Ji Ling Shuang answered without hesitation. She refused outright. No. Little hedgehog's expression changed instantly. She opened her mouth and asked, why? Ji Ling Shuang frowned, her expression turning cold as well. I told you, your appearance will only make him sad. Little hedgehog shook her head and moved her lips. Daddy said he likes me. He was very happy. The big demon king is lying. During the half day she had spent with Daddy, Daddy had clearly been very happy. He had even said that he liked her very much. He said he likes you? Ji Ling Shuang pinched little hedgehog's chin and sneered. That's because he doesn't know who you are. If he knew, do you really think he'd still like you? No, he wouldn't. He'd only despise you and hate you. Little hedgehog's whole body stiffened. She stared at Ji Ling Shuang with a deathly pale face. The teddy bear in her arms slipped to the floor. Daddy would despise her and hate her before Yuen could comfort her. Little hedgehog turned and ran out. Little hedgehog, Yuen panicked and immediately ordered someone to follow her. She looked at Ji Ling Shuang reproachfully. Ling Shuang, little hedgehog is only 4 years old. She's still just a child. How could you say something like that to her? Ji Lingshuang remained expressionless. I was telling the truth. Yuan clenched her fists, feeling helpless. If you're going to treat her like this, you might as well not have saved her back then. A dark glint flashed in Ji Lingshuang's eyes. Are you teaching me how to do things now? Yuan sighed helplessly. She didn't argue any further and hurried outside to chase after Little Hedgehog. Ji Lingshuang rubbed her temples and frowned. It seemed she really was drunk. She regretted those harsh words the moment they left her mouth. Before long, Yuan returned carrying Little Hedgehog. Little Hedgehog lay against her shoulder, sobbing so hard she could barely catch her breath, looking utterly miserable. Go get the medical kit, Yuan instructed a servant. Ji Lingshuang frowned immediately when she heard that. What happened? She fell down. Yuan sat down on the sofa with Little Hedgehog in her arms and rolled up her pant leg. Her knee was scraped. Why were you so careless? Ji Lingshuang took the medical kit from the servant and took out some iodine and a bandage. I only said a few words and you ran off. Your temper is getting worse and worse. Although her words sounded reproachful, her movements while treating Little Hedgehog were extremely gentle. Little Hedgehog curled up in Yuan's arms, still sobbing uncontrollably. Ji Lingshuang disinfected the wound, applied medicine, and finally put on a bandage. Ji Lingshuang rubbed her head. Go get some rest. I'll have someone take you back to the castle tomorrow. As soon as she finished speaking, Little Hedgehog suddenly lunged toward her. Ji Lingshuang quickly caught her to keep her from falling. What are you doing? Little Hedgehog grabbed Ji Lingshuang's hand and struggled to hold back her tears. She opened her mouth, trying to speak, but only a faint hoarse sound came from her throat. Ji Lingshuang and Yuan both froze. Although Little Hedgehog couldn't say a complete word, they both understood what she was mouthing. I like Daddy. I want Daddy to be happy. I want Daddy to kiss me and hug me. But I don't want Daddy to despise me or hate me. Meanwhile, after seeing Little Hedgehog off, I stood by the roadside in a daze for quite a while. Not long afterward, Jia Yunshu arrived. The moment the car door opened, I smelled alcohol. You've been drinking? I looked at Jia Yunshu and frowned slightly. Jia Yunshu took my hand and pulled me closer. I couldn't get out of the business gathering, so I drank a little. Yang Ting, sitting in the front passenger seat, glanced over. Jia Yunshu was reflected in the rearview mirror. It was Ji Lingshuang who had insisted that Jia Yunshu compete with her in shooting. For every point lost, they had to drink a glass. After several rounds, Jia Yunshu had drunk 3 glasses, while Ji Lingshuang had drunk more than a dozen. When it came to marksmanship, Jia Yunshu was still better. Jia Yunshu glanced at the children's themed restaurant I had mentioned and asked, why did you come all the way out here to eat? I met a very cute child outside the hotel today. She wanted to eat here, so I brought her. At the mention of Little Hedgehog, I sighed inwardly. I wondered if I would ever get the chance to see her again. Most likely, I wouldn't. Jia Yunshu looked at me in surprise. She remembered that I had once said I didn't like children. Not at all. It seemed people really could change. After returning to the hotel, I was completely listless. I didn't have much appetite for dinner either. I looked at the photos of Little Hedgehog and me on my phone, feeling strangely down. A child I had known for less than a day had somehow made me miss her this much. How strange, seeing that I had barely eaten that evening. Jia Yunshu had the hotel send up a late-night meal. She pulled me from the bedroom into the living room. These are all things you usually like to eat. Have a little. You've lost weight lately. Seeing how concerned she was about me, I wasn't going to reject her kindness, so I sat down and ate a little. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. Jia Yunshu glanced at it. It was Ji Lingshuang calling. I didn't know what Ji Lingshuang said on the other end, but I immediately stood up in alarm. I'll come over right away. I hung up, put down my chopsticks, and prepared to leave. Jia Yunshu grabbed me. Where are you going? I'll go with you. No need. Get some rest. Don't wait up for me. I was a little anxious, so I shook off Jia Yunshu's hand and walked out. Jia Yunshu calmly watched me leave. A gloomy aura enveloped her. In the end, she was still worried about me, so she followed me out. I walked out of the hotel and got into a taxi. Jia Yunshu told her driver to follow the taxi and see where I was going. More than 20 minutes later, The taxi stopped outside Yiren Villa. Jia Yunshu watched me get out of the car and hurriedly run inside. Yunshu, should we go in? Yang Ting asked from the passenger seat. Jia Yunshu narrowed her eyes slightly, her face betraying no emotion. Let's wait for now. Just as she finished speaking, her phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. Hello, Jia Yunshu answered. The next moment, Ji Lingshuang's voice came through. Miss Xia, since you're already here, why don't you come in and have a seat? Jia Yunshu's gaze instantly turned ice cold. What did you say to Ji Huai? If Ji Lingshuang hadn't said something, why would Ji Huai rush over? The moment he received her call, on the second-floor balcony of Yiren Villa, Ji Lingshuang looked at the car parked across from the villa, a wicked smile curling at the corner of her lips. I told him. I missed him. Jia Yunshu remained silent on the other end. Ji Lingshuang was in an excellent mood. She chuckled. See that? All it takes is one call from me. No matter where Ahuai is, no matter what he's doing, he'll rush to my side immediately. That's how important I am to him. Jia Yunshu, if you're regretting it now and want to call off our bet, there's still time. Jia Yunshu replied, the bet stands. Then we'll just have to wait and see. Beep, beep, beep. Jia Yunshu hung up. Ji Lingshuang looked at the car parked outside the villa and chuckled. It seemed Jia Yunshu planned to wait for me outside. A knock sounded at the door. Ji Lingshuang walked inside. Come in. Yuan pushed the door open, with me following behind her. Sit down. I froze and carefully looked Ji Lingshuang over. Didn't you say on the phone just now that your second personality had appeared? That's why I rushed over here. But judging from Ji Lingshuang's appearance, she didn't seem to be her second personality. Ji Lingshuang stared at me. If I hadn't said that, would you have rushed over this quickly? I'd never met anyone this shameless before. Ji Lingshuang, what exactly are you trying to do? I had been worried sick the whole way here, only to find out that she had lied to me. What can I do? Ji Lingshuang dropped onto the sofa and said calmly, pack your things. We're going back to the castle tomorrow. I frowned. I'm not going back. Before I could finish, Ji Lingshuang coldly interrupted me. You're not going back. Then where are you going? Back to the Ji family in Jincheng. I'm the only one left now. There are some things I need time to come to terms with. Besides, Grandpa isn't in very good health, and he needs someone to take care of him. Ji Lingshuang sneered. Finished, I raised an eyebrow. Then I heard Ji Lingshuang say, isn't Jia Yunshu part of the reason too? My expression turned cold. What are you trying to say? Ji Lingshuang looked at me irritably. Do you think I don't know you? You've given all these righteous-sounding reasons, but the real reason is still Jia Yunshu, isn't it? It has nothing to do with her. Ji Lingshuang stared into my eyes and asked slowly, oh why? Have you fallen in love with her? I pressed my lips tightly together and said nothing. Ji Lingshuang narrowed her eyes slightly. She knew me too well. The expression on my face had already revealed my feelings for Jia Yunshu. Actually, yesterday at the villa, when I chose to leave with Jia Yunshu, she had already guessed that I'd fallen in love with Jia Yunshu. But judging by Jia Yunshu's behavior today, she probably still didn't know how I felt about her. Ji Lingshuang looked at me mockingly. Heh, your taste in women really isn't that great. I warned her with a serious expression. Stay out of my business. You're my husband. If I don't look after you, who will? Ji Lingshuang said it as if it were perfectly justified. Hearing her call me that made my head ache again. Ji Lingshuang, I'm telling you one last time, I'm not your husband. I've never married you. If you dare say that again, don't blame me for being rude to you. Ji Lingshuang crossed her legs and looked at me with a carefree expression. I'm suddenly curious about what my second personality is really like. Why are you always so timid around her, yet so arrogant when you're facing me? Ji Lingshuang raised her hand and motioned for me to come over. As soon as I walked over, I smelled the strong scent of alcohol. You've been drinking. The smell was strangely familiar too. Ji Lingshuang rubbed her brow. Without answering, why exactly did you call me here? I had a feeling that Ji Lingshuang had tricked me into coming here because she had something important to discuss. Ji Lingshuang was silent for a moment, then said, I've already had the 117th century you brought back, sent to the Research Institute. At the mention of that, I looked at her seriously. What do you need the 117th century for? Although I knew she had been searching for the 117th century, I still didn't know what she intended to use it for. You'll find out eventually. Jiling Shuang clearly had no intention of telling me. She looked at my neck. The bruises there still hadn't faded. Deep down, she still felt somewhat guilty. If you want to return to Huaxia, I won't stop you. 1 year should be enough for you to deal with the Ji family's affairs, right? You've been away these past few years, and you haven't dealt with the matters you've left behind. Once you're done with your own affairs, you'll need to make some time to handle them too. I know. I looked at Jiling Shuang and raised an eyebrow. You really don't mind me going back to Huaxia? Jiling Shuang stared at me. If I did mind, would you obediently stay? I gave an awkward laugh and shook my head. No. Jiling Shuang rolled her eyes. Then why the hell are you asking? Her current condition wasn't suitable for keeping me around either. If her second personality appeared again one day, she was worried she might hurt me again. I clapped my hands and stood up, feeling much more relieved. Since there's nothing else, I'll get going. Jiling Shuang nodded. Yuan, see him out. Yuan and I went downstairs. I couldn't help complaining. Jiling Shuang is getting more and more unhinged. You've been by her side all these years. She must have put you through a lot. Yuan smiled. It's all right. I'm already used to it. After a brief pause, Yuan held out her hand. Give me your phone. I made a puzzled sound and handed her my phone. What do you need my phone for? Yuan opened my photo album. Seeing the photos of little hedgehog and me, she deliberately asked curiously, who's this child? A little girl I met today. I thought she was adorable. So, we took a few photos together. Yuan casually selected the photos of little hedgehog and me and sent them to her own phone. I looked at her in confusion. Yuan, what are you doing? A friend asked me to introduce her to a boyfriend. I'm going to show her your photo. As she spoke, to keep me from getting suspicious, Yuan selected one of my selfies from the album and sent it to her phone as well. The moment I heard that, I felt terrible. No. Yuan handed the phone back to me. Relax. I'm just doing it to humor her. Hearing that, I finally felt relieved. Then I'm leaving. Call me if anything happens. Yuan saw me out. When we reached the courtyard, I suddenly stopped. I turned to look at a bedroom window on the 3rd floor of the villa and frowned slightly. What's wrong? I scratched my head. Nothing. I just feel like someone's watching me from over there. Yuan's heart tightened. She followed my gaze. No one lives in that part of the building. Little Hedgehog was there. She was probably watching us right now. Fortunately, the window glass was one way, so I couldn't see what was happening inside. I shrugged. Looks like I'm just being desensitive. After leaving the villa, I saw Jia Yunshu's car parked across the street. I froze. Why was Jia Yunshu here? When she saw me come out, Jia Yunshu got out of the car. She stood by the car, with a road separating the two of us. We looked at each other. Yuan glanced at Jia Yunshu, then looked at me and reminded me, oh why? Jia Yunshu isn't one of us. I froze. Li had once said the same thing to me. After saying that, Yuan turned and went back inside. After returning to the villa, Yuan went upstairs to Jiling Shuang's bedroom. However, Jiling Shuang wasn't there. Yuan went up to the 3rd floor. Sure enough, Jiling Shuang was there with Little Hedgehog. The moment she saw Yuan, Little Hedgehog came running over. She held out her hand. Yuan handed her the phone. The photos are in the album. There had been another reason for tricking me into coming over so late. Little Hedgehog wanted to see me one last time. Even if she could only do it secretly, watching me from far away. Little Hedgehog looked at the photo of herself and Daddy. On her tear-streaked face, a faint smile finally appeared. She forwarded the photo to her own phone. Yuan gently rubbed Little Hedgehog's head. I'll help you print the photos tomorrow. Little Hedgehog nodded weakly. That night, Little Hedgehog hugged the teddy bear I had given her and fell asleep. Yuan stayed by her bedside for a while, then went to the study. Jiling Shuang sat in front of the computer, reading through some documents. Little Hedgehog is asleep. Jiling Shuang asked. Yuan nodded. Then Jiling Shuang asked, have the arrangements at the hotel been made? Awai is very vigilant. Don't let him become suspicious. Don't worry, everything has been arranged. After a brief pause, Yuan asked, why haven't you told Awai about that matter? It's not time yet. Ji Lingshuang raised her head, her gaze unreadable. Don't you know his personality? Since he has feelings for Jia Yunshu, then let him experience it for himself. He won't learn his lesson without getting hurt. Yuan looked at her speechlessly. Why go this far? You'll have to tell him sooner or later. The longer you wait, the deeper a why will fall. When the time comes, I got into Jia Yunshu's car and asked, "Why are you here?" Jia Yunshu took my hand, her face revealing little emotion. What did Ji Lingshuang say to you that made you rush over here so anxiously? Nothing, just a small matter, I replied calmly. Jia Yunshu's jaw tightened. Even a small matter could make me this anxious. It showed just how important Ji Lingshuang was to me. Jia Yunshu stared at me and asked, "Is everything settled now?" I nodded. More or less. I won't need to come back tomorrow. Then we'll go back home tomorrow. I nodded, okay. There was nothing else for me to do here anyway. Wait. I suddenly remembered something and grabbed Jia Yunshu's hand. I leaned closer and sniffed near her neck. Jia Yunshu froze. Ji Huai. What are you? Jia Yunshu. What kind of wine did you drink today? Jia Yunshu raised an eyebrow and answered honestly. I nodded. No wonder the scent of alcohol on Ji Lingshuang had seemed so familiar earlier. It turned out she smelled of the same wine as Jia Yunshu. They must have drunk the same wine today. Jia Yunshu asked. You could tell just by smelling it. I replied calmly. I'm very familiar with the scent of this wine. I smelled it on Ji Lingshuang just now too. Jia Yunshu's expression darkened. She suddenly grabbed my shoulders tightly. How do you know that? A mischievous smile curled at my lips. Jia Yunshu. You're jealous. I am jealous. She wasn't just jealous. She was envious too, almost driven mad by it. Looking at Jia Yunshu like this, I inexplicably found it amusing. Then you'll have plenty more reasons to be jealous in the future. The moment I smiled, Jia Yunshu's heart instantly softened. This was the brightest smile she had seen on my face these past few days. Jia Yunshu pulled me into her arms. Ji Huai, do you know? Every day, I have to talk myself out of it more than a dozen times, just to stop myself from dragging you home and hiding you away. I let her hold me. Am I really that easy to kidnap? No. I snorted softly and poked Jia Yunshu's previously injured arm. Jia Yunshu, if you ever use self-injury to trick me again, I'll never forgive you. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. Jia Yunshu cupped my face, and in her usually cold eyes appeared a hint of eager expectation. So, have you forgiven me? I rolled my eyes at her. Instead of answering, I said, I'm hungry. Gentleness spread through Jia Yunshu's eyes. Do you want to eat at the hotel or outside? Let's eat at the hotel. I don't feel like going anywhere else. After returning to the hotel, I specifically asked the front desk whether Little Hedgehog's family was still staying there. I was leaving tomorrow, and I wanted to see her one more time. However, the front desk told me that they had already checked out that afternoon. I felt a little disappointed. Jia Yunshu had come to Country F on a private jet. After returning to the room, she told Yang Ting to arrange for them to fly back to Kyoto early the next morning. You can go back without me. I'm not going back to Kyoto, I said. The moment Jia Yunshu heard that, a gloomy expression immediately clouded her face. You're not going back to Kyoto? Then where are you going? Back to my own home, of course. I've been away for so many days. I don't know how Grandpa's doing. I need to go back and see him. Jia Yunshu's expression softened slightly. She took my hand. Old Master Ji has already woken up, right? I've never had the chance to visit him. This time, I'll go back with you. There's no need. I think there is. As soon as Jia Yunshu finished speaking, her phone rang. Hello? I didn't know what the person on the other end said, but Jia Yunshu abruptly stood up. I understand. After saying only a few words, Jia Yunshu hung up. Yang Ting, who was standing nearby, immediately sensed something was wrong and quickly left the room. What happened? I stood up. I have something urgent to deal with. Get some rest. Tomorrow, I'll go back to Jincheng with you to visit your grandfather. After saying that, Jia Yunshu didn't wait for me to respond. She grabbed her coat and hurried out. I watched Jia Yunshu leave, and suddenly felt that this scene was strangely familiar. No, it wasn't just familiar. I knew it all too well. The person on the phone just now must have told Jia Yunshu something about Ichi. Otherwise, Why would she be in such a hurry? Most likely, there was news about Ichi again. I grabbed my coat and followed her out. I wanted to see for myself just who this Ichi really was. The person Jia Yunshu had been unable to forget. I followed her out of the hotel. After watching Jia Yunshu get into her car, I hailed a taxi and followed behind her. Jia Yunshu's car drove south the entire way and finally stopped by the docks. On the way, Jia Yunshu was still thinking about what gifts she should prepare. When she went back to Jincheng with me tomorrow to visit Grandpa, if old Master Ji knew what had happened between us before, he probably wouldn't treat her very kindly. She needed to prepare in advance. Jia Yunshu took out her phone and sent Shen Qianing a message, asking her to help find out what my grandfather liked. Shen Qianing replied, "Not bad, Jia Yunshu. GY is already taking you home to meet the family. Looks like your remarriage isn't far off." Jia Yunshu looked at Shen Qianing's message and replied, "I do want to remarry Jihuai, but judging from the situation right now, it won't be easy." Jia Yunshu no longer expected Jihuai to remarry her. All she wanted was for me not to reject her love and not to push her away. That alone would be enough. Jia Yunshu sighed and rubbed her brow. Her phone chimed. Jia Yunshu thought it was a message from Shen Qianing. But when she opened it, she found it was from Dick. It was a photo. Jia Yunshu wasn't interested and had no intention of looking at it, but her finger slipped and opened the image. As the image enlarged, the person in the photo became clear. The next moment, Jia Yunshu's pupils suddenly contracted. Although the man's eyes were covered with a ribbon, she recognized him at a glance. GY. She had no time to wonder why I was there. Jia Yunshu immediately ordered the driver, "Turn around, go back." The driver froze. Although he didn't know what had happened, he immediately turned the car around. Yang Ting turned around and was almost terrified by Jia Yunshu's murderous expression. Damn, Jia Yunshu looks terrifying. She looks like a storm is about to erupt. Yunshu, what happened? Jia Yunshu didn't answer. She called Dick. Jia Yunshu held her breath, her entire body radiating an icy fury. The few seconds she spent waiting for him to answer felt like absolute torture. Finally, the call connected. Jia Yunshu gripped her phone tightly. Her murderous voice seemed capable of piercing through the phone. Dick, if you dare lay a finger on him, I'll kill you. Dick had known Jia Yunshu from many years, so he understood her temperament fairly well. The moment he received her call, he immediately realized something was wrong. Without another word, he quickly left the room. Not long afterward, Jia Yunshu arrived. The moment Dick saw her deathly, murderous gaze, he knew things had gone terribly wrong and hurriedly said, "Jia Yunshu, I swear, the moment I got your call, I immediately left the room." "Where is he?" Jia Yunshu glared fiercely at Dick. Inside, Dick pointed at the tightly shut door and handed over the room key card with both hands. Jia Yunshu took the key card, opened the door, and walked inside. Then she slammed the door shut with a bang. The whole process took less than a second. "Mr. Dick, what exactly happened?" Yang Ting asked. Dick held his head, looking completely bewildered. "I just took a photo, then sent it to your Jia Yunshu." And she rushed over. Does she know the man inside the photo? Dick immediately took out his phone and opened the photo for her to see. "Look, this is the guy. He's the one who injured my head." Damn, the moment Yang Ting saw the photo, her face instantly turned pale. "Mr. G." No wonder Yunshu turned back the moment she saw the photo. Dick's heart skipped a beat. So, Jia Yunshu really did know the man inside. He asked curiously, "Who is this Mr. G?" Yang Ting replied, "He's the man Jia Yunshu likes." Dick froze. Then he suddenly realized something. Yang Ting snatched his phone and deleted the photo, then handed the phone back to him. Dick shook his head, his legs going weak with fear. No, I didn't touch him." Damn, what kind of coincidence was this? The man inside was actually the one Jia Yunshu had her eye on. "I'm going to kill that bastard Wang Linsheng." Coming back to his senses, Dick immediately ordered his men, "You two, go bring Wang Linsheng to me." Jia Yunshu entered the room and immediately saw the man in the corner. Jia Yunshu's heart felt as if it had been stabbed. I weakly closed my eyes. Ji Huai. Jia Yunshu opened her mouth. My mind exploded at the sound of that voice. Jia Yunshu. I slowly opened my eyes. The next second, that all too familiar face appeared before my eyes. Afraid it was just a hallucination, I closed my eyes and waited for 2 seconds. Before opening them again, that familiar face was still there. Jia Yunshu. Jia Yunshu tightened her arms around me, looking at my blood-stained palm. Tears streamed down her face. Ji Huai, you're hurt. I'll take you to the hospital. Before Jia Yunshu could finish speaking, the man in her arms suddenly hugged her. I buried my face in Jia Yunshu's embrace, breathing rapidly. Ji Huai. Jia Yunshu held my shoulders and finally realized that my body temperature was abnormal. I was drugged with an aphrodisiac. My whole body trembled in discomfort. I raised my head and looked at Jia Yunshu pleadingly. Jia Yunshu, I don't want to. Even though the woman beside me was Jia Yunshu, the woman I had come to like again, I still didn't want it. I was afraid of reliving what happened 5 years ago. Jia Yunshu gently rubbed my head. Okay. Then I'll take you to the bathroom and let you soak in cold water first. It should make you feel a little better. I nodded weakly. There was a large bathtub in the bathroom. Jia Yunshu filled it with water and helped me into it. The icy water greatly eased the unbearable heat burning through my body. Jia Yunshu temporarily wrapped my injured right hand in a towel to keep it from getting wet. I'll go get the medical kit. Wait for me for 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Jia Yunshu closed the bathroom door and walked out. The moment she opened the room door, she saw Yang Ting waiting outside with 2 male doctors. They were standing by the door and had even prepared a brand new set of men's clothes. Jia Yunshu held out her hand. Medical kit. One of the male doctors quickly handed it to her with both hands. Yang Ting also handed her the bag containing the men's clothes. She cautiously asked, Jia Yunshu, is Mr. Ji all right? Jia Yunshu didn't answer. Her meaningful gaze swept over the surroundings. Where's Dick? He personally went to catch Wang Lincheng to make up for his mistake. A murderous glint flashed through Jia Yunshu's eyes before she turned and went back inside. When she returned to the bathroom, she saw me leaning against the edge of the bathtub. You should go out. Jia Yunshu tightened her jaw and walked over, then crouched down beside me. Let me treat the wound on your hand first. I glanced at my right hand. It had already stopped bleeding. It's fine. We can deal with it later. Jia Yunshu stared into my eyes. Ji Huai, you don't trust me. Are you afraid I'll do something to you? No. It's myself I don't trust. Jia Yunshu took my right hand and slowly removed the towel. Then she used a cotton swab to disinfect the wound on my palm and stop the bleeding. Jia Yunshu took a deep breath, suppressing the heat surging inside her, and sped up her movements. After she finally finished bandaging my palm, she asked, do you feel better? Do you want to get out? Soaking in cold water for too long isn't good for your body. I shook my head. Although I felt that some of my strength had returned, I was still uncomfortable. I'll stay in a little longer. You should go out. I'll stay with you. I took a deep breath. With you staring at me like this, it's only making things worse. She stared at me silently for a few seconds, then turned her back to me. I won't look at you. Call me if you feel uncomfortable. The room fell silent, and neither of us spoke. I suddenly said, Jia Yunshu, don't casually turn your back on others in the future. It's dangerous. Jia Yunshu clenched her fists, then helplessly relaxed them. Ji Huai, not everyone is worth me treating this way. Only you. My heart raced. Only me. What about Achi? Having made up my mind, I asked, Jia Yunshu, why don't you ask me why I ended up here? Jia Yunshu truly didn't understand. With my skills, I shouldn't have been caught off guard. Besides, before she left, she had instructed Jinzhu to protect me well. Wang Mingsheng's men had taken me away, yet Jinzhu hadn't reported it to her. I coldly answered her unspoken question. I followed you. I saw you board the cruise ship by the pier. I was planning to find a chance to sneak aboard, but I got distracted and didn't notice someone approaching. Jia Yunshu, you left the hotel in such a hurry. Did you get news about Achi again? With her back turned to me, Jia Yunshu couldn't see the expression on my face, but she could hear the disappointment in my voice, along with a trace of sadness. Yes, Jia Yunshu nodded. I tentatively asked, did you find him? Even I didn't realize how nervous I was inside. When I asked that question, Jia Yunshu replied no. The person we found wasn't a Chi. I breathed a sigh of relief, and I was actually a little happy, realizing what I was thinking. I lowered my head. When had I become so despicable? I slowly asked, Jia Yunshu, can you tell me about you and a Chi? What was so special about the person whom Jia Yunshu cared about so deeply? Jia Yunshu fell silent. I stared disappointedly at Jia Yunshu's back, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. I knew it. A Chi was the unforgettable love hidden in her heart. Someone she treasured above all else. The anger inside me suddenly flared up. I suddenly grabbed the vase beside the bathtub and smashed it hard at Jia Yunshu's feet. Then why did you come back and provoke me? Why say things you don't even mean? Jia Yunshu, don't you find yourself disgusting? My furious voice rang out behind her. Hearing this, Jia Yunshu's expression changed drastically. She realized almost immediately that I had misunderstood. She turned around and saw me leaning over the edge of the bathtub, glaring at her. Jia Yunshu, get out. Get out of here. How could she love another man while saying such affectionate things to me? If she couldn't let go of a Chi, why did she come back and provoke me? Jia Yunshu reached me into strides and bent down, firmly grabbing my hand. Ji Huai, I've never said a single insincere word to you. I stared at her with a mocking smile. Really? Then your love truly knows no bounds, Jia Yunshu. Don't touch me. After a long silence, Jia Yunshu spoke in a low, hoarse voice. Ji Huai, I haven't even explained anything yet, and you've already judged me like this. That's unfair to me. What else is there to say? Her silence just now was the best answer. I no longer had the strength to argue with her. Jia Yunshu, just get out. I never want to see you again for the rest of my life. Another deathly silence followed. Then a sigh came from above me. Ji Huai, that's impossible. I won't leave you, and I won't let you leave me. Much less for the rest of our lives. Jia Yunshu forced me to look up at her. A lifetime is so long. I'd go crazy if I couldn't see you. My smile became even more mocking. Even without me, don't you still have a Chi? Besides, Jia Yunshu, given your status, all you have to do is beckon, and countless men would come running. Jia Yunshu's eyes darkened. Ji Huai, I thought after everything I've done, you would have understood my feelings by now. In all my 20-something years of life, the words I love you have only ever been spoken to you. As for a Chi, I can tell you with absolute certainty that I've never loved him. I sneered. You don't love him? Then why have you been searching the whole world for him? Who are you trying to fool? I searched for him to repay a debt of gratitude. I froze. Repay him? A complicated look flashed through Jia Yunshu's eyes. As she nodded, he saved my life 5 years ago. If it hadn't been for him, I might already be dead. I've searched all over the world for him these past years, only because I wanted to repay him for saving my life. I stared blankly at Jia Yunshu, finding it hard to believe. But before, you clearly wanted to divorce me, because you said you wanted to marry him. Jia Yunshu sighed. Back then, I hadn't fallen in love with you yet, so I thought I would marry him, give him status and wealth, and ensure he would never have to worry about anything for the rest of his life. I sneered. He saved your life. So, you were going to repay him by marrying him? The corner of Jia Yunshu's mouth twitched. More or less. What about now? I asked. There are many ways to repay a debt of gratitude. If I can find a Chi, I'll repay him for saving my life in some other way. Jia Yunshu cupped my face and lowered her head to kiss my brow. The only person I want to marry now is you. It can only be you. Not a Chi, nor any other man. Ji Huai, do you understand? I lowered my eyes without saying anything. After worrying about it for so long, I finally realized that a Chi had only been an imaginary love rival. A Chi wasn't Jia Yunshu's unforgettable first love. He was merely her benefactor. Jia Yunshu rested her forehead against mine, her voice sounding somewhat helpless. If I'd known you cared this much, I would have explained it to you sooner. I gave a cold snort, still feeling somewhat resentful, whether it was before or now. Whenever something involving a Chi came up, when have you ever not left me behind for him? Jia Yunshu apologized in a rare, subdued tone. I'm sorry, I wasn't considerate enough. Jia Yunshu continued. Don't stay in the water any longer. Soaking for too long isn't good for your health. How do you feel now? Do you feel any better? I nodded. I'm not as hot anymore, but I still don't have much strength. Jia Yunxi was still worried. I'll call a doctor in to examine you. I grabbed her. No need. Let me rest for a while. I'll be fine once the drug wears off. I don't want anyone else to see me looking this miserable. Jia Yunxi nodded and took out the clothes that had been prepared. Change out of your wet clothes. I still have enough strength to change by myself. Seeing Jia Yunxi staring at me, with no intention of looking away, I reminded her, if you keep staring at me like that, how am I supposed to change? Jia Yunxi turned around and left. After changing, I collapsed exhausted onto the bed. Not long after, I heard the door open. I quickly closed my eyes and said, Jia Yunxi, don't come over. Let me be alone for a while. A shadow fell over me. I opened my eyes and stared at that stunning face only inches away. I swallowed hard. That cold bath had been completely wasted. I took a deep breath and turned my head away from her. Jia Yunxi had no idea what I was thinking. She sat down beside me and let me rest my head on her lap. She gently massaged my scalp to help me relax. Jia Yunxi stared at the injury on my hand. A dangerous look clouded her cold, beautiful face. Noticing her gaze, I flexed my hand and said casually, this little injury is nothing. I've suffered injuries much worse than this, many times before. Jia Yunxi frowned deeply. Why have you been injured so many times? When I was very young, my parents and older brother passed away one after another. Grandpa then began training me as the family heir. Before I was even 10, I was sent abroad for training. Aside from regular school subjects, Grandpa also arranged training in finance, martial arts, marksmanship, and horseback riding, more than 10 hours every day. We used real guns and real blades. Of course, I got hurt. I remember the worst time. I was fighting someone and got stabbed. I pointed at my abdomen. It nearly killed me. Jia Yunxi's heart tightened. How old were you then? I thought for a moment. 12 or 13. Jia Yunxi's hand paused while massaging my scalp. She tightened her jaw and said nothing. She knew that as the future heir of the Ji family, I would inevitably undergo strict training from a young age. But she hadn't expected old Master Ji to be that strict with me. At only 12 or 13, he had me spar with people, using real blades and real weapons. That was far too harsh. She had also been raised as an heir since childhood. Her training at 12 or 13 had been strict too, but nowhere near as dangerous as mine. Jia Yunxi frowned. I immediately guessed what she was thinking. I chuckled. Grandpa had very high expectations from me, so he was a little stricter. Jia Yunxi thought for a moment and said, come to think of it, the Ji and Jia families are quite well matched. How did the conversation suddenly turn to our families being well matched? I coughed awkwardly and changed the subject. I continued. By the time I was 15, I could already handle things on my own overseas. Later, I met the master who taught me traditional Chinese medicine. He had a rather strange temper and offended quite a lot of people. He was often hunted down, and I got dragged into trouble plenty of times because of him. I didn't just learn traditional Chinese medicine from him. I also learned many other skills. Jia Yunxi nodded thoughtfully. No wonder you're so skilled. I'm still far behind my master. Hearing me say that, Jia Yunxi became somewhat curious about my master. Where is your master now? My mood suddenly sank. He passed away. Jia Yunxi froze. I'm sorry. It's all right. When he passed away, he didn't seem to have any regrets. He even had a smile on his face. How did your older brother die? Jia Yunxi suddenly asked. She knew my parents had died in Kunming. But as for the cause of my brother's death, the Ji family had never made it public, so there was no information about it outside. Many people didn't even know that I had an older brother 5 years older than me. I thought back for a moment and said, I only know that he died from an illness. As for what illness it was, I'm not very sure. I was still very young back then, so I don't remember many things clearly. If my brother were still alive, he would probably be the one in charge of the Ji family now. Drowsiness gradually washed over me. I closed my eyes. Jia Yunxi, I'm going to nap for a little while. Jia Yunxi gently stroked my hair. Her voice soft. Sleep. I'll stay with you. Jia Yunxi gazed at the man resting on her lap, her expression full of tenderness. She kept staring at me affectionately as if she could never get enough of looking at me. Time slowly passed. Jia Yunshu took a pillow and placed it beneath my neck. Then she carefully covered me with a blanket. Jia Yunshu got off the bed and walked out. She opened the room door. Yang Ting and Dick were both standing in the hallway. The moment Dick saw Jia Yunshu come out, he immediately begged for mercy. Jia Yunshu, spare me. Wang Linsheng was the one who hired people to bring him here. I've already had him and his men captured for you. You can decide what to do with them. Jia Yunshu glanced at him coldly. Do I really need to teach you how to deal with them? Dick immediately understood what she meant. Understood. I'll take care of it right away. With that, he prepared to leave. Yang Ting glanced at Dick from the side and thought, this guy sure has a strong survival instinct. The murderous intent in Jia Yunshu's eyes faded slightly. Dick secretly breathed a sigh of relief. At least his life was safe now. Jia Yunshu was about to say something when she saw me open the door and walk out. Seeing that I had walked out on my own, Yang Ting said, Mr. Ji, your phone. Yang Ting handed my phone to me. Dick found it on one of Wang Linsheng's men. I looked puzzled. Dick, Wang Linsheng? Both names were completely unfamiliar to me. Dick is the man whose head you injured. As for Wang Linsheng, a trace of murderous intent flashed in Jia Yunshu's eyes. His men were the ones who kidnapped you and brought you here. I was surprised. You know that guy named Dick? Jia Yunshu nodded. Now I understood. No wonder after I hit that guy. Instead of retaliating, he ran out as if he'd seen a ghost. Yang Ting glanced at Jia Yunshu and explained for her. Wang Linsheng wanted to cooperate with Yunshu. Originally, the key card to this room was meant for Yunshu. She refused it, so Dick took it instead. So that's what happened. After saying that, I raised an eyebrow and looked at Jia Yunshu with a teasing glint in my eyes. The way these people give you gifts is pretty unusual. A honey trap, huh? Maybe next time I need a favor, I'll try the same trick. I was only joking. But unexpectedly, after hearing that, Jia Yunshu looked at me seriously. Sure, but I'll only accept a honey trap from Mr. Ji. I quickly packed up my things and prepared to return home with Jia Yunshu. Jia Yunshu booked the tickets, and our destination was Jincheng. Are you really coming back to Jincheng with me? When we arrived at the airport, I asked her several times. Yes, Jia Yunshu answered very seriously. But once I returned to Jincheng, her next step would be finding a way to get me to return to Kyoto with her. You're the president of a major company. After all, you've been away for so long. Is everything at the company really fine? Even if I'm not at the company, I can still hold meetings and make decisions. Fine. You're amazing. If what happened last night hadn't occurred, there was no way I would have let Jia Yunshu return to Jincheng with me. But what happened last night made me understand one thing. Jia Yunshu genuinely liked me. Ichi was only her benefactor. The knot in my heart had finally come undone. So now, I was willing to try accepting her feelings. After all, I liked her too. Before boarding the plane, I sent Ji Lingshuang a message, telling her that I was going back to Jincheng. Ji Lingshuang didn't reply, and I didn't say anything else. After boarding the plane and sitting down, I noticed a somewhat familiar face. Dr. Ji, it's you. Shin Simu had also noticed me and greeted me with delight. The moment I heard her voice, I remembered who she was. Miss Shen, what a coincidence. Dr. Ji, just call me Simu. I haven't seen you in such a long time. I never expected to run into you on a plane. Ever since I finished Tang Heng's final follow-up examination, I hadn't returned to the hospital, so Shen Simu hadn't seen me again either. Shen Simu's seat was to my right. After I sat down, she looked at me with great interest. I was thinking that after I finished this busy period and returned to Kyoto, I'd find a chance to meet you. I raised an eyebrow. Is something wrong? It's been a while since Tang Heng's last follow-up, so I'd like to ask you to examine him again. I nodded. I won't be returning to Kyoto for the time being. I'll contact you when I go back. Jia Yunshu's eyes flickered slightly beside me. Ji Huai's words meant that he would still return to Kyoto eventually. All right, thank you, Dr. Ji. Shen Simu thanked me. Only then did she belatedly realize that there was a woman sitting beside me. That woman was even holding my hand. Dr. Ji, this lady is. Jia Yunshu sat up straight and unusually took the initiative to speak. Hello, I'm his girlfriend, Jia Yunshu. Girlfriend. I looked at Jia Yunshu in complete confusion. When did she become my girlfriend? Shin Simu looked at Jia Yunshu in surprise. No wonder this woman had looked so familiar. So it was Jia Yunshu. I've heard a lot about you. I'm Shen Simu from the Shen family. Faced with such an important figure, Shin Simu hurriedly greeted her. Who in Kyoto wouldn't recognize? The eldest daughter of the Jia family, the city's most prominent family. She hadn't expected Jia Yunshu and me to be a couple. I turned to glance at Jia Yunshu, then looked at Shen Simu. Don't listen to her nonsense. She's not my girlfriend. Shen Simu blinked and looked curiously at the two of us. Was she seeing things? Jia Yunshu was actually smiling at Dr. Ji, and the way she looked at him was so affectionate. Shin Simu's curiosity immediately flared up. Just as she was about to ask more about our relationship, she heard me say, "She's my ex-wife." Ex-wife. Shen Simu froze. She suddenly remembered that Jia Yunshu had been married before. There were rumors that she had already divorced. Could Dr. Ji be Jia Yunshu's mysterious ex-husband? Jia Yunshu took my hand. "Gy, sooner or later, we'll remarry." Her tone was absolutely certain. I rolled my eyes at her and ignored her. Shin Simu watched us and thought to herself. Rumors had always claimed that Jia Yunshu didn't like her ex-husband and treated him very coldly. But now it seemed that wasn't true at all. Sure enough, rumors couldn't be trusted. From Linder's City to Jincheng, the flight took nearly 7 or 8 hours. When the plane landed, it was 4 p.m. local time. After coming out through the airport's VIP passage, Jia Yunshu opened the car door for me and motioned for me to get in. I stood there without moving, feeling a little conflicted. "Jia Yunshu, are you really coming home with me?" Jia Yunshu stared at me without saying anything. I hesitated for 2 seconds before saying, "My grandpa still doesn't know that we were married before. If you suddenly come with me, I won't know how to introduce you to him. You should come another day." If I brought her home now, how was I supposed to introduce her to grandpa? A friend, my ex-wife? Neither seemed appropriate. Besides, if grandpa found out we'd been married and then divorced, he might get angry. I thought Jia Yunshu wouldn't agree, but unexpectedly, after thinking for a moment, she said, "Okay." My eyes lit up. Before I could say anything, Jia Yunshu continued, "But Ji Huai, you have to give me an exact date. When exactly is another day? Tomorrow or the day after tomorrow?" I thought for a moment. "The day after tomorrow." Jia Yunshu nodded. "Okay, I'll get everything ready and formally visit the day after tomorrow. Drive to the Ji residence." Jia Yunshu told the driver. "Hey," I looked at Jia Yunshu. "Didn't you just agree?" Jia Yunshu took my hand. "I won't go inside. I'll just take you home. Then I'll go to the hotel." "Fine." On the way, Jia Yunshu received a phone call. It was from Shindu. Halfway through the conversation, she opened her laptop and browsed the stock market while talking to the person on the phone. Until the car stopped outside the Ji residence, Jia Yunshu said to the person on the phone, "We'll talk later." Then she hung up. "We're here." I looked at Jia Yunshu and said, "If there's something urgent in Kyoto, you can go back first. Don't worry about me. There is something rather urgent, but I don't need to go back and handle it personally. I'll have a video conference with my subordinates later, and that should take care of it." I nodded. Jia Yunshu ruffled my hair. "Go on." I got out of the car and waved at her. "Bye." Surprisingly, I felt a little reluctant to part with her. Jia Yunshu nodded. "I'll call you later." I didn't say anything. I turned around and went inside. When I got home, I happened to see the company's vice president and another department head preparing to leave. Only then did I learn that they had come to report the company's situation to Grandpa. Recently, while I was away, all the important company documents had been brought here by them, and they personally reported everything to Grandpa. Zushi came out of the house. "Boss, you're back? How has Grandpa been lately?" I asked. "He's recovering very well. The doctor came yesterday for a follow-up and said he's already 80 to 90% recovered." I nodded. As soon as I walked inside, I saw Grandpa coming downstairs. "Grandpa." I hurried over. "I'm back." Gy looked at his returning grandson, clearly displeased. "Where have you been for the past 10 days? I rubbed my nose and helped Grandpa sit on the sofa. "I'm sorry, Grandpa. Something urgent came up, so I made an unexpected trip to Kyoto." I didn't have time to tell you. As for what happened in Country F, I didn't think there was any need to mention it, so I kept it to myself. Hai picked up the tea handed to him by a servant and took a sip. Then he slowly asked, "What was so urgent?" I thought for a moment and replied, "A friend I met in Kyoto was poisoned. I went to check on her." As soon as I finished speaking, Hai slammed his teacup down on the coffee table. I quickly stood up. "Grandpa," I said respectfully. Hai stared at me with a stern expression. Was she really just a friend, or your ex-wife? My heart tightened. Grandpa already knew about my relationship with Jia Yunshu. I subconsciously looked at Zushi standing nearby. Zushi looked equally confused and shook his head slightly, indicating that he hadn't told him. I looked at Grandpa somewhat nervously. "Grandpa, you already know." Hai slapped the table. He was clearly furious. I'm not so senile that I can't find out for myself. The moment Hai learned that I had gone to Kyoto, he sent someone to investigate, and once they did, they discovered that Jia Yunshu and I had been married. If his health hadn't been poor, Hai would have flown to Kyoto himself and brought me back. Hai looked at his grandson with a belly full of anger. Something this important. How long were you planning to hide it from me? Grandpa, please don't get angry. I was worried his anger would harm his health. I'm sorry. I just didn't want you to worry about me. Jia Yunshu and I. The old man forcefully cut me off. Since you and she are already divorced, why are you still getting involved in her affairs? I lowered my head. She did save my life, and she was poisoned this time because of me. I couldn't just ignore her. Hai frowned. Since when were you this kind-hearted? I stood in front of Grandpa, pressing my lips tightly together without speaking. Hai stared at me, his tone somewhat stern. Don't forget who you are. As the heir of the G family, you can't let your emotions control you. Otherwise, how can I feel at ease entrusting the entire G family to you? Grandpa, I understand. I clenched my fists tightly. My voice was low. Hai looked at me and sighed. Don't blame Grandpa for being strict with you. I'm only doing this for your own good. Business is like a battlefield, and in the business world, the easiest thing to exploit is emotion. Although the G family is wealthy and powerful, we have very few family members. Countless people are eyeing the G family's fortune. You're all Grandpa has left now, and the G family has to rely on you. Toward the end, the old man's voice became somewhat somber. I crouched beside Grandpa and held his thin, weathered hands. Grandpa, don't worry. As long as I'm here, the G family won't fall. I won't let anyone use me. You should have faith in me. Hai gently patted my shoulder. If your father and brother were still alive, you wouldn't have to work this hard. My nose stung, and for a moment, I didn't know what to say. Hai let out a heavy sigh and patted my shoulder. Since you and Jia Yunshu are already divorced, don't have anything more to do with her. None of the Jia family are good people. I froze from Grandpa's words. It sounded like he had a serious grudge against the Jia family. Grandpa, seeing me hesitate, Hai immediately frowned. Don't tell me you've fallen for Jia Yunshu. I lowered my head and said nothing, silently admitting it. Hai's heart sank. It seemed he had guessed correctly. If you only want to date her casually for a while, Grandpa won't object. But if you want to remarry her and truly get back together, I absolutely will not allow it. As the heir of the G family, your future wife must never be someone who poses a threat to the G family. Do you understand, Grandpa? For some reason, I felt deeply saddened and disappointed. In Grandpa's eyes, my identity would always be the heir of the G family, the one who had to shoulder the entire G family. When would he ever remember that I was only a 23-year-old man? Hai patted my shoulder. Grandpa will choose a suitable wife for you. I lowered my head and replied gloomily, you don't need to trouble yourself. Grandpa, I haven't thought about getting married for now. That evening, I didn't eat dinner. I shut myself in my room and sat there in a daze, thinking about it carefully. Grandpa's words weren't entirely unreasonable. If Jia Yunshu and I were married, then in the future, the Ji family might very well end up under the Jia family's control. Children, I chuckled softly and thought I was getting ahead of myself. How could I possibly have children? I suddenly thought of Little Hedgehog. I pulled up the photos of Little Hedgehog and me on my phone. I wondered whether she missed me. I held my phone and thought for a moment, then opened my WeChat chat with Jia Yunshu. She had said she'd call me later, but she still hadn't called. She was probably busy. Should I send her a message and ask if she'd eaten yet? I had just typed 2 words when my phone rang. It was Jia Yunshu calling. Hello? I answered the call. Are you resting already? Jia Yunshu's voice was as gentle as ever. No. I asked her. Are you done with work? I'm done. Have you eaten? No. I frowned. Call the hotel and have them send some food up. Eat before you rest. I remembered that her stomach wasn't very good. She couldn't go hungry for too long. Okay. I held the phone. And once again, what Grandpa had said to me that afternoon came to mind. My heart felt heavy. Jia Yunshu. Jia Yunshu answered softly. I'm here. I opened my mouth, but didn't know what to say. It's nothing. Jia Yunshu immediately noticed the dejection in my voice. Did something happen? No. I pretended to yawn. I'm going to bed. You should eat something and get some rest too. Good night. After saying good night, I hung up the phone. Just as I hung up, there was a knock at the door. I got up and went to open it. It was Zushi. Boss, can I come in? There's something I need to tell you. Come in. I nodded. Zushi came inside and casually closed the door behind him. Boss, something strange happened while you were away. I frowned. If even Zushi found it strange, it was probably no simple matter. I sat down on the sofa. Tell me everything. A couple of nights ago, someone came to visit old Master G. The person wore a mask and a headscarf, completely concealing their appearance. They went straight to old Master G's study and didn't come out for 3 or 4 hours. In the middle of the night, was it a man or a woman? I frowned, instantly becoming wary. Who would come to visit Grandpa in the middle of the night while concealing themselves so thoroughly? Zushi thought back for a moment. Judging by the person's build, they looked a little like you, but I can't be completely sure, because that person was covered up far too thoroughly. Did the villa's surveillance cameras capture anything? Zushi shook his head. I originally planned to check the surveillance footage, but the security staff said that night all the surveillance cameras in the villa were under maintenance and weren't powered on. That made me find the whole thing even stranger. Zushi continued. Later, I looked into it. After dinner that night, old Master G ordered the security guards to turn off all the cameras. My frown deepened. Grandpa did this because he probably didn't want the villa's surveillance cameras to capture that person. But why would he do that? Zushi couldn't understand either. Why old Master G would meet someone in his own home, yet be so secretive about it. Boss, do you want me to investigate? Zushi asked. I thought for a moment and shook my head. Not for now. I'll find a chance to ask Grandpa first, okay? With nothing else to discuss, Zushi left. Thinking about what Zushi had just told me, I couldn't help feeling a little worried. Just then my phone rang. I looked and saw it was Jia Yunshu again. Hello. I answered the call. Jia Yunshu's voice immediately came through the phone. Didn't you say you were going to sleep? Why are the lights in your room still on? I froze. How did Jia Yunshu know my lights were still on? I immediately ran to the balcony. Then, outside the villa, I saw Jia Yunshu standing beside her car, holding her phone and looking up at me. My heart began pounding wildly. Why did you come here? There are many reasons. Jia Yunshu gazed at me standing on the balcony, her eyes filled with tenderness. I wanted to see you before going to sleep. I wanted to say good night to you in person. I wanted to make sure you were all right. And there are too many reasons. But they all come down to one thing, Ji Hui. I missed you. Especially after hearing how dejected I sounded on the phone earlier. As though something was troubling me, she could no longer suppress the urge to see me. I gazed at Jia Yunshu in the distance, feeling a hint of sweetness in my heart. I missed her too. Have you had dinner? I asked. Not yet. Then wait for me for a moment. I hung up the phone and quickly turned back into my room. I changed my clothes, then hurried downstairs. I'm going out. Call me if anything happens. After saying that to Zushi in the living room, I headed out. Jia Yunshu watched me walk out of the house, a gentle smile spreading across her face. She came toward me, but before she could speak, I pulled her into the car. Come on, I'll take you somewhere good to eat. Although I was from Jincheng, I had been sent abroad when I was very young and rarely came back. So I wasn't very familiar with Jincheng. However, there was a century-old hot pot restaurant that had left a deep impression on me. I remember the first time I had hot pot as a child was at this very restaurant. The restaurant stayed open until 3 in the morning. We found a window seat on the second floor. I handed the menu to Jia Yunshu. Order whatever you want. It's my treat. Jia Yunshu ordered some dishes. As I ate the food Jia Yunshu cooked for me, she asked, "How is old Master Ji doing?" Jia Yunshu asked, "He's doing well. The poison has already been neutralized. Grandpa was in good health when he was younger, so he's recovering quickly." Thinking of Grandpa, I remembered what he had said that afternoon and felt a little troubled. Jia Yunshu noticed my expression and asked, "Is something bothering you?" I shook my head, unwilling to talk about it. Jia Yunshu didn't press me further. By the time we finished eating, it was almost midnight. Jia Yunshu held my hand as we walked along the riverbank. Neither of us spoke. As we continued walking, Jia Yunshu suddenly stopped. "What's wrong?" I turned to look at her. "GY." Jia Yunshu stared at me and said slowly, "Let's get back together." My heart skipped a beat. Get back together? Give me a chance to be your girlfriend, okay? She didn't care if there was another woman in my heart. Sooner or later, she would replace that person and make me love only her. Jia Yunshu. I opened my mouth, but before I could finish, Jia Yunshu interrupted me. "Don't tell me we're not suitable for each other. How will you know if we're compatible unless you give it a try?" I rubbed my nose. It was rare to see Jia Yunshu being this straightforward. "Then if I try it and decide we're not compatible, can I return you?" Jia Yunshu raised an eyebrow and gritted her teeth. "Yes, but before you return me, you have to tell me why. Whatever doesn't suit you, I'll change." Seeing how serious Jia Yunshu looked, I inexplicably found it amusing. "Then let me think about it." Jia Yunshu stared at me without saying anything. A few seconds later, she asked, "Have you decided?" I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I deliberately said, "How could I decide that quickly? I need at least a month or so to think about it." The corner of Jia Yunshu's mouth twitched. "A month is too long." Jia Yunshu cupped my face. "GY. You're torturing me." I snorted. "1 month is torture. Then what about those 2 years I was married to you and you treated me so coldly? Wasn't that hell-level torture?" Jia Yunshu was speechless. Compared with 2 years, 1 month really wasn't long. In the end, Jia Yunshu compromised. "Give me your answer in 1 month. Before that, there's something else you may have to do." Jia Yunshu nodded. "Tell me." I thought for a moment. "My grandpa already knows that you and I were married and then got divorced." Jia Yunshu raised an eyebrow. Then she heard me continue. "He really doesn't like you. Grandpa won't allow us to be together." Jia Yunshu had already expected old Master Ji's attitude toward her, "So that's why you've been unhappy all day." I nodded. Then I realized something. "How did you know I was upset?" "I could tell from your voice." "You don't have to worry about old Master Ji. Leave it to me. Then good luck." After walking along the river bank for a while, Jia Yunshu drove me back to the Ji residence. On the way, Jia Yunshu discussed it with me. Since old Master Ji already knew about our relationship, she would formally visit him tomorrow. I agreed. When we arrived at the Ji residence, I got out of the car. "Tell the driver to take it slow on the way back. You should get some rest when you get back." "Okay, see you tomorrow." Just then, Zushi came out of the house. "Boss." Zushi glanced at Jia Yunshu from the corner of his eye, then reported to me, "Old Master Ji asked you to invite your guest inside for a seat." I stared at Zushi with wide eyes. "It's this late. Grandpa still hasn't gone to bed." "No." After a pause, Zushi added, "Not only is he still awake, he also knows that you and Jia Yunshu went out on a date in the middle of the night." "What date?" I glared at Zushi. "Why didn't you send me a message to warn me?" Zushi looked helpless. "I did send you a message." I took out my phone and checked. There really was a message from Zushi sent more than 10 minutes ago. I simply hadn't heard it. I looked at Jia Yunshu, my face practically screaming. What do we do? Jia Yunshu, however, remained completely calm. She stepped forward and took my hand. "Looks like we can't wait until tomorrow." As far as she was concerned, it didn't matter when she visited old Master Ji. I shook my head. and tried to push Jia Yunshu back toward the car. Why don't you go back to the hotel first? I was afraid Grandpa would lose his temper and take it out on Jia Yunshu. Jia Yunshu reassured me. It's fine. Let's go. The living room was brightly lit. Ji Hai sat on the sofa, holding a newspaper in his hands. He quietly watched as I walked in with Jia Yunshu. I cautiously spoke up. Grandpa, it's so late. Why haven't you gone to bed yet? So, you do know it's late. Ji Hai put down the newspaper and took off his reading glasses, his eyes carrying a hint of reproach. Jia Yunshu tightened her grip on my hand and spoke politely. Old Master Ji, please don't blame Ji Hui. I was the one who asked him out. Ji Hai took a sip of tea and shifted his gaze to the woman beside me. His tone was cold. I'm disciplining my own grandson. Since when is it an outsider's place to interfere? I pursed my lips and introduced her. Grandpa, this is Jia Yunshu. Ji Hai nodded faintly. I know. The eldest granddaughter of the Jia family and president of the Jia Corporation. I've heard quite a lot about your legendary accomplishments in the business world. He stared at Jia Yunshu. His slightly clouded eyes were filled with scrutiny. It's a pity you're Jia Zemin's daughter. And the eldest daughter at that. President Jia, please sit. Ji Hai gestured toward the sofa opposite him. Jia Yunshu held my hand as we sat down. You're too kind, old Master Ji. You can just call me Yunshu. Ji Hai glanced at our intertwined hands and frowned. Aren't you two already divorced? Yes, we are divorced. Jia Yunshu replied. But I'm pursuing Ji Hui again now. In Jia Yunshu's 26 years of life, the thing she regretted most was divorcing me. Ji Hai took another sip of tea. Young people these days treat marriage and divorce far too casually. I wanted to explain, but Jia Yunshu spoke first. It was all my fault. Ji Hui had nothing to do with it. Then why are you still pestering my grandson now? Ji Hai's expression remained cold. Ji Hui, come sit over here. Jia Yunshu let go of my hand. She knew I wouldn't go against an elder's wishes. I sighed inwardly and sat down beside Grandpa. Grandpa, please don't get angry. It's not good for your health. Ji Hai gave me a stern look. It seems you didn't take a single word I said to you this afternoon to heart. Ji Hai looked at Jia Yunshu. President Jia, I don't care why you and Ji Hui got married before, or why you got divorced. In any case, I absolutely won't allow you to get close to him again. Ji Hui, from today on, you're not allowed to see her again either. Jia Yunshu stood up. Old Master Ji, I'd like to know why you won't allow Ji Hui and me to be together. Are you worried I'll hurt him? Or do you have some other concern? If it's the former, then I promise you, I'll love Ji Hui for the rest of my life. Ji Hai stared at Jia Yunshu and replied indifferently. There's no need for you to make promises to me, President Jia. To tell you the truth, I don't have anything against you personally. My problem is with your entire Jia family. I looked at Grandpa. This was the first time I'd seen him so openly hostile. Just looking at Jia Yunshu seemed to make Ji Hai angry. Does Jia Zemin know Ji Hui is my grandson? If he does, I doubt he'd agree to let Ji Hui marry into your Jia family either. Jia Yunshu and I exchanged a glance. Jia Zemin had indeed tried both threats and inducements to make me leave her. Neither family wanted Jia Yunshu and me to be together. Could there really be some deep grudge between our two families? Old Master Ji, although I don't know what problem you have with the Jia family, there's one thing I need to tell you. Even my own parents can't decide who I choose to be with. Seeing how firm the old man's attitude was, Jia Yunshu's expression also became serious. But the man before her was still my grandfather, so her tone remained respectful. Ji Hai let out a cold laugh. Young people shouldn't think everything is so simple. Judging from Jia Yunshu's reaction, she probably knew nothing about Jia Zemin's affairs. I wanted to persuade him, Grandpa, but Ji Hai stood up, giving me no chance to speak. It's getting late. President Jia, please see yourself out. Ji Hui, go upstairs and get some rest. I helplessly glanced at Jia Yunshu, then supported Grandpa. Grandpa, I'll take you back to your room first. You should go back first. As I passed Jia Yunshu, I whispered to her. Jia Yunshu nodded. It seemed that if she wanted to win Ji Hui back, she would first have to gain Old Master Ji's acceptance. I helped Grandpa back to his room. Grandpa, get some rest. Ji Hui. Ji Hai sighed as he looked at his grandson. Grandpa will say the same thing again. If you only want to date Jia Yunshu casually, I won't object. But if you want to remarry her, I absolutely won't allow it. I lowered my head, clenching my fists tightly. Grandpa, don't worry. No matter who I marry in the future, I won't let the Ji family fall into danger. Ji Huai let out a heavy sigh. Ji Huai, I'm not doing this entirely for the Ji family. More than anything, I'm doing it for your own good. I nodded, with little expression on my face. Thank you, Grandpa. Since you're doing this for my own good, then please stop interfering in my personal relationships. I'm not a child anymore. I know what I'm doing. And I know what I should do, and what I shouldn't. Faced with my words, Ji Huai was momentarily speechless. Get some rest. I'm going back to my room. I turned to leave. When I reached the door, I suddenly remembered what Zhu Shi had told me and stopped in my tracks. Grandpa, I heard from Shi that someone came to visit you late at night a while ago. Who was it? Why did they come so late? Ji Huai's eyes flickered. He hadn't expected me to know about it. An old friend of mine. They heard I'd just recovered from a serious illness and wanted to come see me. They ran into some trouble on the way and were delayed, so it was rather late when they arrived. I smiled and nodded, without asking anything more. I didn't really believe Grandpa's explanation. After I left, Ji Huai sat on the sofa and let out a long sigh. After thinking for a long while, he picked up his phone and dialed the number. Hello. The call connected, and a woman's voice came from the other end. Let me think again about what you mentioned last time. The person on the other end chuckled. I told you before. You rejected me too quickly. The next morning, I went to the company and was busy until noon before I finally had time to check my phone. I was wondering whether I should ask Jia Yunshu out for lunch when I received a message from her. Are you done with work? I'm downstairs at the G Corporation. Let's have lunch together. I raised an eyebrow. How did she know I was at the company? I'll be right down. I sent a quick reply. As soon as I walked out of the company building, I saw Jia Yunshu's car parked not far away. How did you know I was here? I asked after getting into the car. Jia Yunshu looked at me. I heard it from a servant at the G residence. I looked surprised. You went to my house? Jia Yunshu nodded. I wanted to formally visit your grandfather, but unfortunately he refused to see me. Grandpa had already made his position very clear last night. By refusing to see her today, he probably felt there was nothing left to discuss. It also showed just how firm his stance was. I sighed inwardly. Jia Yunshu took my hand. Ji Huai, I won't give up. I rubbed my nose and smiled. Then you'd better work hard at it. The corners of Jia Yunshu's red lips curled upward, and her smile deepened. I was no longer as resistant as before to her feelings for me. While we were having lunch together, Jia Yunshu suddenly received a call from Kyoto. I didn't know what the person on the other end said, but Jia Yunshu's expression turned cold. What's wrong? I asked. Jia Yunshu looked at me, her expression somewhat apologetic. Sorry, Ji Huai. Something urgent came up at the company. I need to go back and handle it. I figured as much. It's fine. If it's urgent, you should go back first. After lunch, I took Jia Yunshu to the airport. When we arrived, Jia Yunshu looked at me. I'll leave Jinzhu here with you. No need, Zhu Shi is with me. You should let him go back with you. I glanced at Jinzhu beside us and whispered, Jia Linger must miss him a lot. Jia Yunshu nodded. Since Zhu Shi was by my side, nothing should happen to me. She gazed at me reluctantly. Ji Huai, remember to miss me. I gave a slightly haughty snort. The company has been pretty busy lately. I might not have time. Jia Yunshu thought for a moment. Then I'll call and remind you. For some reason, I suddenly felt that she was a little childish and clingy, but somehow, that felt pretty nice too. Go on inside. Jia Yunshu paused, stood on tiptoe, and kissed me on the lips. Then she turned and left. I touched my lips. Her warmth seemed to still linger there. After seeing Jia Yunshu off, I returned to the company. I wasn't actually very interested in company affairs, but Grandpa was getting old, so I couldn't keep letting him overwork himself. In Kyoto, as soon as Jia Yunshu got off the plane, she headed straight for the company. Jia Linger had already been waiting there. When she saw that her sister had finally returned, she was delighted at first, then looked behind her. Sis, where's Ji Huai? She had been eagerly waiting day and night, hoping the two of them would reconcile and return together. Jia Yunxi replied, "He's in Jincheng. He has some things to take care of, so he can't leave for now." Jia Linger nodded. "Will he come back to Kyoto after he's done?" Jia Yunxi returned to her office, sat down, and opened her laptop. "Let's talk business." Jia Linger immediately understood, her expression turning serious and angry. Dad handed the Northern Suburbs Development Project over to Jia Qiyu. This morning, Jia Qiyu came to the company and called all the relevant people in charge into the office. They had a meeting all morning. Jia Yunxi said nothing, her gaze instantly turning deep. "Sis, if I remember correctly, all the core information for the Northern Suburbs Development Project is in your hands. If Jia Qiyu wants to take charge of that project, meeting with everyone involved won't do him any good. Without the core data, everything he does will be useless." Jia Linger looked at Jia Yunxu in confusion. A cold, mocking smile flashed in Jia Yunxu's eyes. "There are 2 copies of the core information for the Northern Suburbs Development Project. I have 1 copy, and Dad has the other." No wonder. Jia Linger gritted her teeth in anger. "Sis, tell me, why would Dad do this?" It was one thing to let Jia Qiyu organize his birthday banquet, but now, he's even handed such a major project over to him. Isn't he completely disregarding you, his eldest daughter? That Jia Qiyu. I knew he was no good. Jia Yunxi gave a faint, humorless smile. He needs a daughter who will obey him more. Obviously, after what happened with Ji Huai, Father realized that she wasn't an obedient daughter. At this point, he brought Jia Qiyu back and gave her authority for 2 reasons. First, to make Jia Yunxi feel threatened and teach her a lesson. Second, to make the 2 of them compete. The harder Jia Yunxu and Jia Qiyu competed, the happier he would be. Only the strongest would survive. Jia Yunxu looked at Yang Ting. "Notify everyone in the project department. We'll have a meeting in 10 minutes. "Yes." Jia Yunxu thought for a moment, then picked up her phone and called Shen Qianing. "Help me investigate something." "What is it? What kind of grudge is there between the Ji and Jia families?" Shen Qianing was clearly startled on the other end. "By the Ji family, you mean Ji Huai's family?" "Yes, interesting. But why did you suddenly decide to investigate this?" Jia Yunxi replied, "I have my reasons. Find out as soon as possible and let me know." "All right." Shen Qianing didn't ask any further questions. After a brief pause, she said, "By the way, I heard your father handed the Northern Suburbs project over to Jia Qiyu. That's a pretty big deal. The entire elite circle is talking about it now. Jia Qiyu has received so much attention right after returning home. She might even replace you someday." Jia Yunxu sneered. "You think so too?" Shen Qianing burst out laughing. "Others may not know you, but how could I not? Even if there were 10 more Jia Qiyus, they still wouldn't be a match for you." After saying that, she reminded her, "But I'd still advise you to be more cautious, especially around your father." Shen Qianing didn't elaborate further, leaving it at that. Shen Qianing suddenly remembered something and said, "I just received some news from South Africa." As soon as Jia Yunxu heard this, her brows immediately furrowed. "Go on." "I went to South Africa a couple of days ago and heard something while I was there. The mastermind behind that terrorist attack in South Africa back then, Oster, isn't dead at all. Apparently, he was seriously injured and has been hiding ever since." Even Shen Qianing hadn't expected that the explosion had failed to kill that bastard. He was incredibly lucky to survive. "I tried to track him down while I was there, but halfway through, the trail went cold. At the moment, all I know is that he's hiding on some small island in the Pacific." "Is that so?" Jia Yunxu narrowed her eyes dangerously, one hand clenched tightly into a fist. "What has Shinru been doing lately?" Jia Yunxu asked. Shen Qianing thought for a moment. She chuckled. "She seems to be looking for someone. The thief who stole the 117th century last time. You know how competitive Shinru has been since childhood. Something right under her own nose was actually stolen. To her, it was an absolute humiliation. Although she eventually recovered the item, she failed to catch the thief. She was upset about it for days and swore she'd catch that person." Jia Yunxu said, "Contact her. Have her investigate Oster. As long as that man remained alive, Jia Yunxu could never let go of her hatred. All right, she's looking for someone anyway, so I'll have her investigate him too." With that, they ended the call. Jia Yunxu checked the time, then got up and headed to the conference room for a meeting. Back in Jincheng, after finishing my work, I returned home that evening and had dinner with Grandpa. I had originally wanted to mention Jia Yunshu coming to visit him that morning, but seeing Grandpa's stern expression the entire time, I was afraid of upsetting him. So I dropped the subject. GY, you're free tomorrow evening, right? GY Hai suddenly asked. I nodded. I am. Why good? We have guests coming tomorrow night. Come home early. Okay. After dinner that evening, I gave Grandpa a checkup. His body had basically made a full recovery, which put my mind greatly at ease. In the middle of the night, a phone call woke me up. I answered the call and sleepily muttered, hello? Then I heard Ji Ling Shuang's furious voice over the phone. If you dare get together with Jia Yunshu, I'll make your life miserable. I instantly snapped awake and shot up right in bed. I was more than half awake now. Ji Ling Shuang, why are you going crazy in the middle of the night? On the other end, Ji Ling Shuang gritted her teeth furiously. Do you have any idea? Jia Yunshu made me lose over $1 billion in just 3 days. Ji Ling Shuang was practically fuming. She never expected Jia Yunshu to suddenly strike back at her. If they hadn't already returned home, she would definitely have taught her a lesson. I was completely confused. What happened? Yuan's voice came through the phone. Jia Yunshu stole 2 business deals from us, causing our company's stock price to drop 5%. Ji Huai, listen to me. Jia Yunshu and I are sworn enemies now. If you dare get together with her, I'll kill you. Ji Ling Shuang was hopping mad on the other end of the phone. She wasn't angry about losing over $1 billion. She was furious that she'd actually lost to Jia Yunshu and couldn't swallow the humiliation. I gave a dry laugh. I'd say you deserved it. If you hadn't sent that message to trick her into going there, none of this would have happened. Ji Ling Shuang snapped. When the hell did I ever send her a message? I scratched my head. I forgot, that was your second personality. Did you call me in the middle of the night just to tell me this? I asked with a yawn. Ji Ling Shuang replied irritably. What else? Did you think I missed you? Please, don't ever miss me. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. It's the middle of the night here in Jincheng. Without waiting for Ji Ling Shuang to respond, I hung up. I slept straight through until morning. After waking up, I called Jia Yunshu. Ji Ling Shuang called me last night. She said you stole 2 business deals from her and cost her over $1 billion. Yes, I did. Jia Yunshu readily admitted it. Why? I asked. Jia Yunshu was silent for a few seconds before answering, because she hurt you. Originally, she had planned to do something far more ruthless, but when she remembered how much I cared about Ji Ling Shuang, Jia Yunshu hesitated. After thinking it over, she settled on this relatively mild method. To teach Ji Ling Shuang a lesson, I was stunned for a moment and touched my neck. The bruises Ji Ling Shuang had left were already gone, without leaving any scars. Even I hadn't paid much attention to them. I never expected Jia Yunshu to still be thinking about avenging me. Jia Yunshu, thank you. Jia Yunshu was silent for a moment. GY, I failed to protect you. It was my fault. I sighed. That was just an accident. Ji Ling Shuang normally isn't like that. Jia Yunshu said nothing, because Ji Ling Shuang was someone I cared about. Even though she'd hurt me, I would still defend her. Jia Yunshu felt a pang of jealousy. In Kyoto, Shen Qianing sat on the sofa, holding her phone as she watched Jia Yunshu talking on the phone by the bed, clicking her tongue repeatedly. When she finally hung up, Shen Qianing said, Jia Yunshu, what exactly is going on between you and Ji Wei now? Are you in a long-distance relationship? Jia Yunshu glanced at her. She replied, I'm still pursuing him. Shen Qianing looked surprised. Didn't he already take you home to meet his family? After all that, you're still only pursuing him? You're making pretty slow progress. Shen Qianing shook her head regretfully. Soon, right now, the biggest obstacle between Ji Huai and me is old Master Ji. What about the matter I asked you to investigate? Did you find anything? Jia Yunshu asked. Actually, while investigating, I uncovered some well-hidden secrets about the Ji family. Shen Qianing stood up and handed her a folder. Jia Yunshu frowned, took the folder, opened it, and began reading. There wasn't much inside, only 3 pages. After Jia Yunshu finished reading, her brows furrowed deeply. Jia Yunshu had always thought the Ji family's ancestral home was in Jincheng. Only after reading the information did she discover that the Ji family was originally from Kyoto. It was during Ji Weihai's father's generation that the Ji family moved to Jincheng and settled there. The Ji and Jia families had even once been neighbors, and they had been very close. But for some unknown reason, the two families later fell out. In the business world, the Ji and Jia families had initially been business partners. But gradually, the Ji family withdrew from every industry the Jia family was involved in and completely terminated all cooperation with them. Shen Qianing looked at Jia Yunshu and said, I also heard some gossip about old Master Ji's love life. It said that old Master Ji's wife, Ji Huai's grandmother, had an unusual relationship with your grandfather when they were young. And by unusual, I mean the romantic kind between a man and a woman. Hearing this, Jia Yunshu immediately frowned. Where did you hear that gossip? I heard someone mention it while drinking years ago. I don't know whether it's true or not, and I didn't pay much attention to it. But after finding out yesterday that the Jia and Ji families had so many connections, I suddenly remembered it. Since this concerned the private affairs of two elders, Shen Qianing didn't dare make careless claims. It was probably just a rumor. My grandparents had a very loving marriage when they were alive. Grandpa wasn't that kind of person. Jia Yunshu didn't believe there had been anything between her grandfather and Ji Huai's grandmother. However, Ji Huai's grandfather was clearly hostile toward the Jia family. She wondered whether it had something to do with this. After finishing the documents in her hands, Jia Yunshu said, looks like I'll have to find a chance to ask my parents about it. With only one night to investigate, there was only so much Shen Qianing could uncover about the Ji family. Moreover, many of these events had happened long ago. To uncover the whole truth, they would have to ask the people involved. I was sent abroad when I was little, and have lived overseas ever since. I definitely don't know much about the Ji family's affairs either. Shen Qianing joked. You really should go back to the family residence. If you don't go back soon, Jia Qiyu might really take over your place. A cold look flashed through Jia Yunshu's eyes. She isn't worthy. In Jincheng, I received a message from Grandpa at noon, reminding me about the dinner with his friend that we'd arranged last night. I hadn't forgotten. That afternoon, I left the company an hour early and returned home. Grandpa, is this friend of yours a man or a woman? The guest wouldn't arrive until around 6, so it was still early. After changing clothes, I played chess with Grandpa in the backyard. After we had played 2 games, Zhu Shi walked over. Old Master Ji, the guest has arrived. Ji Weihai stood up. Quick, invite her in. I helped Grandpa back inside. Before long, I saw Zhu Shi leading a woman inside, and she was someone very familiar. Wenruxu. Why is she here? Old Master Ji, Mr. Ji, long time no see. Wenruxu wore a gentle, sweet smile as she held out the gift in her hands. Wenruxu, why are you here? I looked at Wenruxu in surprise. The last time I'd seen her was at the racetrack. Compared with my surprise, Wenruxu appeared extremely calm. I'm in Jincheng on a business trip. I heard that old Master Ji had regained consciousness, so I wanted to come pay him a visit. You to know each other. Ji Weihai looked at Wenruxu and me. I secretly gave Wenruxu a meaningful look, then said to Grandpa, Miss Wen and I met when I was in Kyoto. Wenruxu smiled and nodded. At the time, I didn't know Ji Wai was your grandson. Ji Weihai smiled. I was going to introduce you to today. I didn't expect you already knew each other. It must be fate. What fate could Wenruxu and I possibly have? A cursed fate, maybe. Wenruxu looked at Grandpa Ji. My grandfather asked me to send you his regards. As you know, his legs aren't in good condition, so it's difficult for him to go out. Otherwise, he would have come to see you himself. Ji Weihai waved his hand. I know he has trouble walking. There's no need to trouble himself. Give your grandfather my regards. Have a seat. Wenruxu sat down. Seeing that I still looked completely confused, she couldn't help but smile. It seems Mr. Ji didn't know our families are old friends. Really? I honestly didn't know. Ji Weihai nodded. Yes, it's just that over the years, the Ji family settled in the south, while the Wen family settled in the north. We haven't kept in touch as often as before, but our family's bond remains strong. My expression stiffened slightly. If I'd known the Wen and Ji families had this kind of relationship, I would have gone easier on Wen Shiji back then. If Grandpa found out, I'd severed one of Wen Shiji's fingers. He would definitely lecture me. Has your grandfather been well these years? Grandpa Ji looked at Wen Ruxu, studying her carefully. Wen Ruxu nodded. Grandpa is still quite healthy. It's just that he has trouble walking, and on rainy days, his old ailments tend to flare up. They're all chronic problems. GY sighed. We're getting old. Time waits for no one. I sat beside Grandpa and comforted him. You and Grandpa when are still young. You're not old at all. Heh, you're all grown up now. How could we not be old? In the blink of an eye, decades have passed. I remember the last time I saw Ruxu. You were still in college, right? That's right, Ruxu. You're 26 this year, aren't you? GY asked. Yes, I just turned 26. Are you married? When Ruxu took a sip of tea. Not yet. I looked at Grandpa and Wen Ruxu, and suddenly had an ominous feeling. The next moment, Grandpa said, What a coincidence. GY is still single too. I knew this was bad. It seemed I'd guessed correctly. I quickly interrupted Grandpa. Grandpa, dinner is ready. Let's go to the dining room and eat. GY stood up. All right, let's eat first. I breathed a sigh of relief. Miss Wen, after you. When Ruxu looked at me and smiled. GY, just call me Ruxu. Being called Miss Wen feels strange. I forced a smile. Okay. If Grandpa weren't here, there was no way I'd be this polite to her. Throughout the entire dinner, I felt enormous pressure. Grandpa wanted to matchmake Wen Ruxu and me. His intentions were far too obvious. I couldn't even pretend not to notice. After dinner, GY looked at Wen Ruxu and me and pretended to be tired. When you get old, you don't feel like moving after a meal. GY, take Ruxu for a walk in the garden. I raised an eyebrow. Grandpa was already creating an opportunity for us to be alone together. I glanced at Wen Ruxu and gave her a forced smile. Miss Wen is extremely busy. She probably doesn't have time. Wen Ruxu smiled slightly. I'm not busy today. I have plenty of time. The G residence covered a large area. Besides the main villa, there was a separate house where Grandpa lived, with a large garden between the two buildings. It wasn't dark yet, so I took Wen Ruxu for a casual walk around the garden. After thinking for a moment, I asked, My grandpa doesn't know that I cut off one of your brother's fingers, does he? Wen Ruxu looked at me with a faint smile. Not yet. What do you mean, not yet? Wen Ruxu replied. Grandpa Ji and my grandpa haven't met in years. Just now, didn't he say he'd visit him in Kyoto when he has time? He'll definitely find out then. When that happened, I would inevitably get a lecture from Grandpa. Wen Ruxu immediately saw what I was thinking. She smiled. Don't worry, I'll put in a good word for you when the time comes. I raised an eyebrow at Wen Ruxu. Is Wen Shiji really your biological brother? Instead of helping him, you're helping an outsider like me. Wen Ruxu pondered for a moment before saying, given the relationship between our families, you're not really an outsider. I gave a dry laugh. Are our families really that close? Come to think of it, I'd never heard Grandpa mention the Wen family before. Of course, that could also be because I rarely stayed at home in the past. Wen Ruxu thought for a moment, then said, My grandfather and Grandpa Ji were comrades when they were young. They risked their lives together, so they formed a very deep friendship. I was surprised, really. No wonder Grandpa had sounded so emotional when he mentioned Grandpa Wen earlier. After walking around the garden for a while, Wen Ruxu saw that it was getting late, so she prepared to leave. She went inside to say goodbye to Grandpa Ji. GY looked at Wen Ruxu and smiled. It's still early. Ruxu, since you don't have anything else to do, why don't you let GY show you around Linhan River and enjoy the night view? The corner of my mouth twitched awkwardly. I wanted to refuse, but Wen Ruxu beat me to it and agreed with a smile. GY patted my shoulder. Ruxu rarely comes to visit GY. You should be a good host and show her around. All right. I felt helpless, but could only agree with a smile. Linhan River was the same place where Jie Yunshu and I had walked after eating hot pot a few days ago. At this hour, many people were strolling along the brightly lit riverbanks. As I walked, I found myself thinking of Jie Yunshu. I wondered what she was doing right now. Does Grandpa Ji know about you and Jie Yunshu? Wen Ruxu suddenly asked. I turned to look at her. He does. I paused. But my grandpa doesn't really like her. Speaking of that, I suddenly remembered something. So I asked, do you know if there's any bad blood between my grandpa and the Jia family? Since the Wen and Ji families were old family friends, perhaps she knew something about what happened long ago. When Ruxu thought for a moment and shook her head, not really. I was a little disappointed and sighed. When Ruxu said, Grandpa Ji seems to be trying to match us up, I smiled awkwardly. Looks like I'll have to talk to him when we get back and tell him not to waste his time, so he doesn't cause you any trouble. Before I could finish, when Ruxu said, it doesn't trouble me at all, I froze. When Ruxu looked at me and continued, Ji Huai, since you and Jia Yunshu are already divorced, I think I have the right to pursue you. My mind went completely blank. I stared at Wen Ruxu in disbelief. You want to pursue me? Wen Ruxu nodded seriously. I nearly choked on my own saliva. Come on, Wen Ruxu. Stop joking. I'm not joking. I'm serious. Wen Ruxu looked at me, her expression serious. Actually, I was the one who told Grandpa Ji that I like you, and that I wanted to pursue you. That's why Grandpa Ji created an opportunity for us to be alone today. So that was what happened. Without even thinking, I immediately said, Wen Ruxu, don't waste your time on me. I don't like you. I don't have feelings for you. Faced with my rejection, Wen Ruxu didn't seem particularly surprised. Feelings can develop gradually. I have plenty of time. I felt a little helpless. Do you really want me to be that blunt? I'll tell you the truth. There's someone I already like. I'll never have feelings for you. Although such a blunt rejection was a little hurtful, I figured a short pain was better than a long one. So I told her directly. After all, I had no romantic feelings for Wen Ruxu, and I didn't want to lead her on, letting her fall even deeper and waste her time and feelings on me. Wen Ruxu stared into my clear eyes. Although she hadn't held out much hope, being rejected so directly still left a bitter feeling in her heart. Is the person you like Jia Yunshu? I hesitated for 2 seconds, but still nodded. So, you're planning to remarry her? I didn't answer. I hadn't considered remarriage for the time being. When Ruxu let out an almost inaudible sigh. Ji Huai, take my advice. Jia Yunshu isn't the right woman for you. I raised an eyebrow. And you are? How would you know I'm not unless you give me a chance? I laughed. Wen Ruxu, I think you're a little too full of yourself. An unreadable smile flickered in Wen Ruxu's eyes. Ji Huai, I won't give up. I felt helpless. Why put yourself through this? I just don't want to miss my chance with you. In Kyoto, Jia Yunshu had just returned home after working late when she received a call from Sheng Qianing. Hello. The next moment, Sheng Qianing urgently exclaimed, Jia Yunshu, someone's trying to steal your man. Who? When Ruxu just posted something on Moments. It looks like she's at the Ji residence with Ji Huai. As soon as Jia Yunshu heard that, her expression instantly darkened. Send me a screenshot. She didn't have Wen Ruxu on WeChat. Wait, I'll send you the screenshots right away. Very soon, Jia Yunshu received the screenshots from Sheng Qianing. Wen Ruxu had posted on Moments half an hour ago. There were 2 photos in total. One was a view of the Ji residence's garden, and the other was a night view of the Lin'an River. My back could be seen in both photos. Jia Yunshu gripped her phone, a cold glint flashing in her eyes. On the other end of the phone, Sheng Qianing clicked her tongue and said, Wen Ruxu really has some nerve. She went straight to his house. Jia Yunshu, you better be careful or she might really steal him from you. In Jinsheng, after learning about Wen Ruxu's feelings for me, I was no longer in the mood to keep walking around with her. I made up an excuse and went home. As soon as I got home, I saw Grandpa sitting in the living room reading some documents. When he saw me return, Ji Huai took off his reading glasses and asked, how did things go with Ruxu? Not very well. I sat down beside Grandpa and sighed. Grandpa, I don't like Wen Ruxu. Please stop trying to set us up. Ji Huai sighed. You child, feelings can develop over time. I looked seriously at Grandpa. Grandpa, I'll listen to you about anything else, but I want to make my own decision about this. Jia Yunshu is the only woman I want right now. Ji Huai was silent for a moment, then handed me the document in his hand. Take a look. I looked it over. It was a project proposal for a project in Kyoto. Grandpa. This is, Grandpa pointed at the document in my hand. GY, if you can secure this project, I won't interfere in your love life anymore. My eyes lit up. Really? GY High nodded and reminded me. This project is in Kyoto. It has been in the planning stages for years, and several major families have their eyes on it. I'll do my best to secure it. I took the project proposal back to my room and studied it carefully. Only then did I realize that the development of this project was tied to the government. It was a major project aimed at connecting the economic development of the northern and southern regions over the next decade. No wonder so many companies had their eyes on it. Judging from the current situation, if we could secure this project, the G Group would definitely reach a whole new level in the next few years. However, the company currently considered the most likely to win the project was the Jia Group. If that was the case, I'd have to compete against Jia Yunshu. I thought about it carefully. Whether in terms of manpower, financial resources, or connections, the Jia Group was stronger than the G Group. On top of that, they had a business genius like Jia Yunshu. My chances of beating her for this project weren't very high. I needed to come up with a good plan. Just as I was thinking about it, my phone rang. I looked and saw that it was Jia Yunshu calling. Hello? What are you doing? I couldn't detect any emotion in Jia Yunshu's voice. I flipped through the documents in my hand. Reading some documents, I asked, "What about you? Are you off work yet?" "I just got home." Jia Yunshu was silent for a moment, before asking, "Were you busy today? Did you go out for a walk after dinner?" I originally wanted to tell Jia Yunshu about Wenruxu, but swallowed the words before they came out. Forget it. I wouldn't tell her. Otherwise, she might get jealous again like last time. No. I was a little busy today. After dinner, I started working overtime and reading documents again. After I finished speaking, the line suddenly went silent. Hello? I glanced at my phone. The call was still connected. Why aren't you saying anything? Jia Yunshu's voice came through, her tone somewhat subdued. Jia Yunshu, what's wrong? I could tell something was off in her voice. So I asked, I miss you. After a brief pause, Jia Yunshu said, don't overwork yourself. Get some rest early. Okay. After that, she hung up the phone. I stared at the ended call, still a little confused. Why did Jia Yunshu hang up so quickly today? I had still wanted to ask her about this project, but there was no rush. Since Grandpa wanted me to secure this project, I would definitely have to go to Kyoto. After thinking about it, I booked a flight to Kyoto for the next afternoon. In Kyoto, after Jia Yunshu hung up on me, she called her best friend, Shen Qianing, and asked her out for drinks. By the time Shen Qianing arrived, Jia Yunshu had already drunk quite a bit. This isn't like you. Shen Qianing sat down on the sofa and chuckled. With the way you used to do things, you should already be on a plane to Jincheng by now. Jia Yunshu raised her eyes and glanced at her. I was planning to go. Then why didn't you? Jia Yunshu drained the whiskey in her glass. A cold glint filled her deep eyes. Because she was afraid she wouldn't be able to control her emotions. Ever since returning from country F, their relationship had been steadily getting better. She didn't want all her efforts to go to waste. Shen Qianing poured Jia Yunshu another drink and asked, did you call Ji Huai? Jia Yunshu nodded. He lied to me over the phone. That's why I'm so angry. Jia Yunshu didn't want to doubt me, but she couldn't stop herself from overthinking. Shen Qianing patted Jia Yunshu on the shoulder and said, Ji Huai's grandfather and Wenruxu's grandfather served in the military together when they were young, and they were very close. Although their families have lived in different places all these years and haven't seen each other as often, their bond is still there. Maybe Wenruxu went to Jincheng. Maybe she simply went there to visit. Old Master Ji. Jia Yunshu clenched her jaw. If that's really the case, why did Ji Huai hide it from me? Jia Yunshu clinked glasses with Shen Qianing and asked, do you think he ever loved me? Shen Qianing raised an eyebrow. Are you asking about before or after he lost his memory? Jia Yunshu's face darkened. Shen Qianing laughed awkwardly and said, if you're asking about before he lost his memory, the answer is obvious. He definitely loved you very much. I remember once when you worked late into the night and your stomach condition flared up. Ji Huai went out in the middle of the night to buy you medicine. He even cooked for you and brought the food to your office. You refused to see him, so he stood outside your office building all night. It was the middle of winter, and it even snowed that night. If he didn't love you, Ji Huai wouldn't have done all that for you. Jia Yunshu felt waves of pain in her heart. She vaguely remembered that incident. Ji Huai later caught a cold and developed a fever, leaving him bedridden at home for several days. Jia Linger had been so upset that she told Jia Yunshu about it. Back then, Jia Yunshu hadn't felt the slightest emotion upon hearing it. Looking back now, she felt that her past self had truly been awful. Shen Qianing observed Jia Yunshu's expression and shook her head, secretly feeling relieved that she wasn't in love with anyone. Being tormented by love looked far too painful. Jia Yunshu was the perfect example. Shen Qianing continued, after he regained his memory, his personality and his attitude toward you were indeed different from before. But judging by everything that's happened lately, I think it's not that Ji Huai doesn't love you, it's that you hurt him too deeply before. So he's afraid to love you again. Everyone has a natural instinct for self-protection. Once you've been hurt badly enough, naturally, you'll distance yourself from someone who might hurt you again. After saying all that, Shen Qianing was almost impressed with herself. She was single after all, yet she could still act as someone else's relationship counselor. Jia Yunshu put down her glass and stood up. I'm leaving. Shen Qianing was surprised. You're not drinking anymore. She had only just arrived and had barely finished one drink. Jia Yunshu nodded and walked out. The more she drank, the more sober she became, and the harder it was to resist the urge to come find me in Jincheng. Since I was going to Kyoto tomorrow, I needed to take care of the company's affairs in advance and make the necessary arrangements.